Thanks for tuning in to more thoroughbred horse racing coverage on Playbook Sports, Horse Report, Prime Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in once again as we are getting ready for the biggest Kentucky Derby prep Saturday of the year. And we're going to cover all three races, the Bluegrass, the Wood, and the Santa Anita Derby with John Hardoon and Mark Lawrence. John, how's everything going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Mark?
Good.
I'm doing great. March Madness is wearing down, and as you mentioned, Greg, the biggest weekend in horse racing as far as prep races goes this weekend. So a lot to like, a lot to look forward to this weekend for sure.
Yes, and don't forget to check out playbooksports.com, and you can order a full card of selections from any track. It's a $25 value, and when you do that, you're going to end up getting a second track for free. The only caveat is the offer is for the same day's races only. Right, Mark?
Same day races, but what a deal. 2 for 1, that's a BOGO, and you can't beat that, especially if they involve John Hardoon's picks, for sure.
All right. Last week, Florida Derby, and we did have an upset. Greatest Honor went down, and, one of the things we talked about was how tough it is when you have one of these contenders, John, that happens to be a closer. And we saw what happened with Greatest Honor the race before when he came from nowhere. He really did nothing, but he was able to come down the stretch and steal a win. When you're a closer, sometimes you just don't have it, and it looked like he just didn't have it last week.
Well, I don't know how squeezed he was for that race with the Derby just 5 weeks away. We even discussed it. I was wondering why he would even run in that race. What was the point to run? I just thought he was so much better than them that he would probably win without giving his best effort. But there's no question, if you heard the interview with Shug McGay before the race, he wasn't all that confident. He was kind of blasé, and, he just said he's doing fine and whatever. But you can only get so many races out of a horse, and they can't just keep moving forward. And especially with the Derby, again, 5 weeks from last Saturday, so now it's like a month out. You didn't want him to give his best effort. In a way, it may have been a blessing in disguise for him. Obviously, anyone that bet on the horse isn't happy.
No.
But, the trainer, as far as the trainer is concerned, the horse did what he wanted him to do. He put in a solid effort. It wasn't his best race, and he didn't want him to run his best race that day. He wants him to run his best race the first Saturday in May.
The horse that we actually picked for second that had the better odds was the winner of the horse, Known Agenda, who's now third in the Derby standings. And Mark actually liked the horse that finished second, one of the long shots in the field, and that was Soup and Sandwich. So, and this is important too, because look, on certain weeks, John is going to have a specific segment that he's just going to give, say, his pick of the week. And then this is why we always tell you to just go to John's picks. He does it all the time. It's not just about the big races. I pluck John out of his, war room to do these big races. And sometimes the big races aren't the races that John really likes to handicap. Sometimes they are. It's just pot luck. But I want to do the big races. But my point I'm getting to is when you listen to what we talk about on these shows outside of John's picks of the week, like that separate section, don't always just take for what, like if we say, okay, these are our picks, try to understand also is that, I felt pretty good about the fact that last week, even though we didn't get the winner, we liked the 2-horse, we liked the 3-horse, the 2-horse and the 3-horse paid a big exacta. It's up to you guys to figure that out because we're trying to give you the best information possible. We're not always going to get the right picks, but the bottom line is pluck those other ideas out and say, hey, you know what? Maybe if the favorite horse that these guys like don't finish, they like the second, the third guys. Maybe that's a big payout. I'll go with those. If you did that last week, you made some good money.
There you go.
Hey, Greg, to that point, John mentioned about Greatest Honor last week and maybe even being able to win that race even without being at his best. And you had to wonder whether or not McGahee was going to have him cranked up for that race. As John mentions before, he wants him cranked for the Kentucky Derby, not so much that particular race, but he still looked like even without his being cranked to his best maximum effort, he could have still won that race. So that's a key contention. I think we're going to see maybe perhaps a little bit of that on this card here this Saturday here with 3 big stakes prep races. And my question to you, John, along the way will be just that. Will we find some favorite horses in here that are already in the Kentucky Derby? They have enough points in the standings. May these horses not be cranked to win this particular race, just tuned up to get to the Kentucky Derby.
Absolutely. That's all this is for a lot of horses. It's a tune-up. Believe me, people always look at what a horse usually did in his last race and they try to bet it off of that. That's the biggest mistake you can make in betting horses. You have to be willing to forgive and forget. Horses are like people. They have bad days. They throw in clunkers. But at this time of year, with these kind of horses, with these trainers, they know what they're doing. They don't want to empty the tank a month out. They want to be ready, But on the same term, they want the horse to continue improving. So it's a fine line, Mark. It's a fine line, and that's what separates the great trainers from the average trainers.
All right. Before we get into those big races, just quickly. I'll pop up on the screen the stretch drive of the UAE Derby. Now, the winner of this race has never amounted to much in the Triple Crown, as far as I can tell, right, John? I mean, maybe they finished
never won.
No wins.
No wins.
And Rebels Romance gets the win. It was a nice win, but that's over there. So until one of these horses wins the race.
The problem is, when you come from there, usually it takes you 6 months to get back. So they never have enough time to recoup from those races. It's the travel around the world or whatever it is. Guys have tried to ship horses and put them in hyperbaric chambers. They've tried everything, and nothing has worked yet. Usually when a horse that ships from here to Dubai and then they come back, they usually need 3 or 4 months before they're back to themselves.
Yeah.
That's how much that trip takes out of them.
So, I mean, what would you suggest then? That maybe they push up that race maybe a couple of weeks earlier?
They're just going to keep doing it because they do whatever they want. They beat to their own drum.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
a lot of those horses are owned by multimillionaires,
yep.
And it's only a game to them. And
All right, just popping up the Derby standings. That horse, the one, Rebels Romance, is 4th in the Derby standings. Known Agenda is now 3rd. Greatest Honor is still 5th. Soup and Sandwich is 12th. And some of the horses that we're going to talk about today are obviously in the running as well and may not even need to win, which is, I think, one of Mark's points about whether or not you go all out to win this race this weekend. Anything in those standings, Mark, that you wanted to talk about, or?
Well, what's going to be interesting, Greg, is we got 3 horses that are right now sitting right on the cusp. And my question to John is this. Before in the past, the Bluegrass used to be the last.
Right. It used to be 2 weeks before the Derby.
Exactly. Now it's moved up. It's running a month out of the Derby here. Is there a last chance race in this Derby, or is this it this weekend?
There may be one more race with some points attached to it. Greg, usually
Arkansas Derby, maybe?
Maybe. When is that?
That's in a few weeks.
We haven't seen it, so it has to be coming up.
So, 2 weeks, yeah.
That'll be the last one.
Right.
Last chance.
Well, it'll be interesting because some of these horses that are on the cusp here right now are going to be in a lot of these races we're talking about. So it's going to be do or die for them this particular weekend, and we'll see whether or not that factors into the race or not.
All right.
Well, what's the cutoff? Like 20 points?
20 points is the cutoff, and right now you have horses like we talked a little bit about Spielberg last week and Papatoo and Nova Rags. They're right now just outside looking in, if you will. There's a couple of horses that are sitting right at 20 points. I've got them marked down, so as we go through this card here, I'll call out these horses that are going to be all in or nothing for this particular race, because if they don't get points in this race, they'll be watching the Kentucky Derby with us.
Unless they get a lot of late scratches.
Yes, exactly.
All right. And by the way, the other point I just wanted to make with my rant before is just make sure that you take a look at the field, break down the analysis as best as we can, and we hope that you can go ahead and make some money, even some of the times when we don't. And it's not easy too, because sometimes you only have a certain amount of money to wager with. And then you have to, that's what happens to me sometimes. It always seems like it happens to me, like I have like a short amount of money in my sports book and I can only bet this amount and that amount. And that happens to be the week where if I had a little extra money, I could have bet it on a few of the other exactas, that we were talking about. But it is what it is.
Shoulda.
I know.
You know that.
And I haven't had this much of a cold spell, by the way, in a long time in betting horse racing. So we got to break the losing streak this Saturday. That's my losing streak.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Let's start with the Wood Memorial, and we'll go in chronological order because the Wood Memorial will take place about 6:00 on Saturday. And Brooklyn Strong, John, is a very interesting horse because of the fact that he's been really good his sheet line is really good. He's been better each time out. It's not perfect because his best race was a 9, but at least the 9 was his last race. It's been a while. First race of 2021. So he hasn't raced in a while. He's 6-1, but he is coming off a grade 2 win on a sloppy track at this distance. The odds are nice. That's the thing I kind of like about this horse the most is I think I'm going to get decent odds on the horse. I wouldn't even touch the horse if he goes off at 5 or 4, 3-1, but 6, 7, 8-1, I'm intrigued.
Well, he's interesting. He hasn't done anything wrong. His best race of his life was last time out when he ran on a wet track. If the track came up wet, obviously it would improve his chances. The good thing about this horse is that he's fresh. This is his first race of the year. So you could be sure that he's one of those horses that aren't going to be squeezed to the max. He's probably going to give him this race and hope to get his best effort in a month from now. How is he as far as points is concerned, Mark? Is he in contention?
I don't even think.
I do not have him on the must-win list, so he must be in contention, John. I have a bunch of horses that are tagged just on the outside looking in. He is not one of them. He won the Grade 2 Remsen. That should be worth enough points. To get him up the ladder, much like Soup and Sandwich did last week, hitting the board. So I don't think this is must win at all by any means for Brooklyn Strong.
I don't see him in the top 20. Where is he?
Is he in the top 20?
I don't see him in the top 20. Is he?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So then he needs points.
I think you're right on that, Greg. I didn't see him in the top 20 either, and I didn't tag him as a must win.
Maybe he was just so far outside your observation that
he has to get some points for the Remsen, doesn't he?
I don't know if the Remsen was a point.
Well, that was in December, so that doesn't count, right? Anything in the prior year, or does it?
May have been 10 points. It may have been, the earlier the race is, the least amount of points for them.
All right.
Well, if that's the case, he needs this race because he has nothing. He's not even on the board to be seen.
Yeah, I think he needs to win.
The reason may be that this is a New York bred, so maybe they never thought that he was Derby material. And now he's turning out to be Derby material as far as numbers are concerned. He's getting better with each start, and they figured, what the heck, we'll give him a shot. If he runs 1, 2, 3, then he'll have enough points.
Okay. All right.
That's the thinking here.
The 2 is Crowded Trade, a 4-1 shot, 2 races, 11-8. Nothing wrong with that at all. Was second at the Gotham. Unfortunately, he did fade there after he had the lead down the stretch, and he did go to a mile for the first time. Now he's going to go to a 1 1/8, but I don't think we should worry too much about that because this is only his 3rd race. I just worry about 4-1.
Well, he's Chad Brown, and obviously Chad Brown has nothing but good horses. Listen, he's lightly raced. He hasn't done anything wrong. He only has 2 starts. I mean, 4-1 is a short price. However, going into the race, he ran the last fastest number, I believe. And if you're looking at that counts for something.
Yes.
But at 4-1, he's really not much of a bargain.
And actually, if you think about it, out of all the horses in this race, only one horse ran a 7 or better. That's it. So that's now you know why he's one of the favorites.
Yeah. And the connections also.
Yes. All right. The 3, nothing to look at there, right?
No, I don't like this horse. And he's coming off of Lasix also, so that's somewhat negative.
Risk Taking is the favorite at 5-2. Chad Brown. This is the 2nd horse in the field for Brown. This is Ortiz, another good rider on board here. All 3 of his races on dirt, he's gotten better each time. 19, 13, 11. He was the winner of the Withers back in February. But again, you're talking 5-2, and he doesn't even have a single digit number yet.
At 5-2, you really can't play him. I understand he's never done anything wrong, and he has a license to improve again. But from an odds point, I mean, you're really up against it here. You're taking a short price on a horse that's in a race with clearly faster horses than a minute, so he doesn't excite me at 5-2, that's for sure.
So, John, which of these two horses, the 2-horse Crowded Trade or 4-horse Risk Taking, both Chad Brown horses, the 2-horse is right now he's in the Derby. He's tied for 18th with 20 points. It's going to be a big, huge race for him. But this 4-horse is on the outside looking in. He's got 10 points. He's tied for 27th. They're both Chad Brown horses. Would you think that Chad Brown would crank up one of these 2 horses that he feels best to be in the Derby?
Well, he's going to try to get the 4 in because he thinks he's good. But I also know that out of the 2 horses, I think he's leaning towards the 2. He uses sheets, and he's been in contact with the office. And from what I understand, he's very close with one of the bosses there. And I think he likes Crowded Trade better, from what I understand.
And why wouldn't, just looking at the morning line as well, why wouldn't we want Crowded Trade? He's got better odds. He has a better number in his last race. So it would make more sense that Crowded Trade would be the pick over Risk Taking if the odds stay the way they are.
You're right.
Okay. The 5 is Dynamic 1 at 12-1. Now, this is the horse that ran the 7. Ran the 7 in December. In that race, he finished second. He broke his maiden finally in his last race when he ran a 15. So that's I don't know. I mean, he goes from a 7 to 10 to a 15. That's not what you want to see.
He's really going in the wrong direction. That's the minus. The plus is that he's 12-1, and he's the only horse that ran a 7 in the race. Yep. No one else has run a 7. You'd rather see it going the other way, 15, 12, 7, whatever it is.
Then we wouldn't get 12-1.
Right. But the bad news is that he actually won that race with a bad number, but that's the race he broke his maiden. He ran the 15 and won.
Yeah. He was a heavy favorite. He was the favorite of that race.
Well, he was a favorite
of almost every race, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, based on his previous 2 starts before that. The knock I have on this horse is he is coming off of Lasix. And that's, again, everybody's in the same boat as far as that's concerned. It's all the first or second year that this has been going on where all these horses aren't running on Lasix. And if you notice, Greg, a lot of the other stake races, even on Saturday at Aqueduct, they have a bunch of stake races, and all they have are 5 and 6 horses in the race, and the fields are short, and no one could understand why. Well, I have a theory why, and I'm thinking that the fact that they're all coming off of Lasix has affected the trainers on wanting to run them. You know what I mean? I understand they're stake races, and a lot of them are big money, but they don't want to take the chance of running them without Lasix, because if they bleed without the Lasix, that could result in a long vacation. It could take Right, it could take them 6 or 8 months to come back. So they'd rather pass up on these big races and keep them in training and keep them racing. So I think, while they think they're doing a good thing by taking horses off Lasix, I think it's a mistake, and I think it's hurting the game and it's hurting the product.
All right, so I know we have 3 races this week, so we don't want to get too involved. We'll talk maybe more about this at another time, but just quickly, what's the difference between the timing when you have to come off Lasix?
They're not letting you run in any graded
stakes race, okay.
Right. Or any Derby prep. No Derby prep.
Right. Well, most of those Derby preps are graded stakes.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Right. So any graded stakes race, you can run.
Horses, like they have the Bayshore, they have a bunch of stake races on Saturday where all the horses aren't in the Carter, 5 horses. I can go through all of them and show you. Well, the Gazelle has 8 horses, but that's all you're going to see. You're not going to see big fields anymore, and it's bad for the game, I think, especially if you're interested in gambling. If you want to watch the races, go ahead and watch them. That's a lot of fun, but not, people are trying to make money. So you can't make money in 5-horse fields.
So, and that's the reason they're short fields, because the owners, the trainers, they don't want to put them on Lasix.
I don't know that to be a fact. It's just my opinion. All of a sudden this year, since they're taking all these horses off Lasix, the fields are so short. It has to be something.
So when you and again, the big difference between taking a horse off Lasix is? With the
What do you mean, the big
bloodstream and everything? What's the
Yeah,
whole...
if they bleed in those races, if a horse bleeds, usually it results in a long layoff, 6 months, 8 months,
Okay. All right. But bottom line is when all of these horses, the only difference is if you race a stakes race earlier in the year, then you come off Lasix, then you could have a couple of like a race in between where now you're maybe you've already raced without it, right? Whereas another horse might have not raced in a big race before. Now he's coming into that first stakes race off Lasix. That could be a big difference. A horse that's already off of it compared to a horse that is now just racing for the first time without it.
Right. And you don't know how horses are going to react.
Okay. That doesn't mean they can't win. It just means you don't know.
Believe me, a lot of these trainers use a substitute for Lasix. They'll find something else to use. When they go to Dubai and run in the $20 million race, they don't have Lasix there. There's no Lasix in any races in Dubai.
Okay.
So, I mean, the horses bleed there also. So obviously they're using some sort of substitute for Lasix. Okay. But that's a different conversation for a different time.
All right. The 6 is another favorite at 3-1 prevalence. And yet this horse has only run 2 races, an 11 and a 10. So exactly why am I going to put money on a 3-1 horse that has run an 11 and a 10?
Well, that's why if you can figure out who's going to win this race, or if you have an opinion in this race, you should be betting it, because both favorites in here, Risk Taking, who's 5-2, and Prevalence, who's 3-1. The first 2 choices are slow. They're no faster than a lot of other horses in the race. So when you have that opportunity, you should shop for a price and try to take advantage of it. You know, there are times when the favorite looks like a standout. Well, that's fine. But that's not the case in the Wood Memorial this year.
All right. The 7 is 12-1. There's nothing to like about. I mean, this horse should go off at 25-30-1.
It's Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado, who are having a terrific year. However, off the figures, they don't belong.
Yeah, 25 last out. Wayburn. Now,
he's also a horse with 10 points, guys. It's right now just on the outside looking in here.
He's going to stay on the outside.
Yeah. Wayburn, the winner of the Gotham, is coming off a 9. So this is another horse that is getting better odds than the horses, yet Wayburn has got the better number, the 9 in his last start, almost 5-1. So what's not to like about Wayburn at 5-1?
Well, I think this is his first time around 2 turns, if I'm correct.
Okay.
I don't the paper here. So
yeah,
this
he's
is
only
going to
run
be
a mile. That was the Gotham.
Right. So now he's going around 2 turns, and 2 turns is a completely different game. We don't know if he can handle the distance, if he can go that far.
He's also got 50 points in his holster here, guys. He doesn't really need this win.
No, this is going to be a learning experience for him, and an education.
All right. And then the 9 is another long shot. The only thing that's good about the 9 is he's gotten better each race. But the last time out, his best race was just a 14.
Who is Dexter Haddock?
What is that? Is that
the jockey?
Is that a trivia? What is that?
He's the jockey, and I've never heard of him.
Oh, Dexter Haddock. Okay, I thought that was the name of a movie. Who's Dexter Haddock?
I've never heard of Pierce either, to tell you the
and
truth.
Who's Penny Pierce?
Low-profile connections. They'll be every bit of 50-1. If you like them, go for it.
All right. So you tell me where you're going, John.
I really don't know what to do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I want to see prices.
Yeah,
it's hard to.
I'm going to kind of go the 1, 2, and the 5 in some sort of exacta kind of deal.
I think you're right. I think you have the right idea. Believe me, if you get anywhere near 12-1 on the 5 horse, I have a hard time believing that Ortiz and Pletcher are going to really go off 12-1. Yeah. But if they do, this horse has that 7 to go back to, and he's going to make a forward move because he's not going to continue going backwards. So he may be the value in the race, and you have the right horses, the 1 and 2. I think you want to play against the favorites here. The 6, I certainly want to play against. The 4 at least keeps winning with those races, and it's Chad Brown, and he's New York based and everything else that goes with it. Brendan Walsh doesn't race on the East Coast, hasn't run at Aqueduct. He's coming off of Lasix.
But like you said, a lot's going to determine the morning, the odds at post time.
Right. But the live horses in the race are the 1, 2, and 5, like you said.
All right. Let's go. Did you want to pick anything outside of the 1, 2, and the 5, Mark?
I do like the one horse here.
Outside the 1, 2, and the 5. Did you like anyone?
all in on the one.
Okay.
Other than that,
you're gonna go with the 1 to win.
The 1 to win.
All right. Mark's going out all on the 1 to win. Jot that down. Mark, 1 win. All right. Let's go to the Bluegrass. This is going to go off about 6:35-ish, about a half hour after the Wood. We're going to start with the 1, Hidden Stash. The good thing about the 1 at 20 to 1 is that this horse has gotten better each time out. 19 all the way down to a 12, but that's about it. 12 is not what we want, but he is 20 to 1.
Yeah, but I think you have better options, faster horses in the race.
Untreated is the 10 to 1 number 2 horse, went from a 25 to a 12. This is a Pletcher Rosario combo that's getting 10 to 1.
Yeah, well, 10 to 1 is 10 to 1. He's similar to the 1 horse, and the 1 horse is 20 to 1. Yeah. So if I like the 2, I have to like the 1.
Yeah, pretty much. It's Pletcher Rosario. That's the only difference. So.
Yeah,
highly motivated, Castellano and Brown, 3 to 1 shot, ran back-to-back 8s, including a win at Keeneland in November.
I like this horse. I'd like a longer price, but listen, he's similar to the 4 horse, who's 3 to 5, who's the next horse we're going to look at. What's the story with points here, Mark? Who needs points?
Well, this 3 horse needs points here right now. He's tied for 27th. He's got 10 points. He's going to have to score something here if he wants to move on to Louisville on Kentucky Derby Day. The 1 horse, he's got 22 points right now. He's barely in right now, but the question is, he's going to have to score here also. But I'm with you as far as what we've talked on so far here, John. This 1 horse is very lightly raced. You got Chad Brown and Castellano here. Because of that, you're probably not going to get much of a price.
The 3 horse,
because he's sitting on the outside. I'm sorry?
The 3 horse, you mean?
Yes, the 3 horse, yes. Yeah, because he's sitting on the outside, I think you're getting a big effort for another Chad Brown horse in this race.
I agree. I think he's going to be squeezed. I like the 8 that he has as a 2-year-old, Greg, and I like the 8 that he ran last time out.
Okay.
He's ready to run a new top.
Okay.
And I think he's going to run big. I really do.
He ran 3rd in the Gotham to the 2 horses, I believe, that are in the Wood. Highly motivated, heading to Keeneland for the 2nd time. All right.
Well, just back to that for a second. Chad Brown had 2 horses in the Wood, and he had this horse. So he wasn't going to keep 3 horses in a race, knowing that he would have to run 1, 2, 3 to get the point. Split him up somehow.
Yeah. And this is probably his best horse out of the 3.
Probably, for sure he's his best horse out of his 3. He has the 8 as a 2-year-old. This horse could be any kind of horse. And by the way, the same owner owns all 3 of them, Clarovich Stables. So.
Okay.
There you go.
The heavy favorites next, Essential Quality, who's 11th in the Derby standings as we speak. Also run 2 8s in his last 2 races. Does have 2 wins and 2 races at Keeneland, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Not many horses have been successful in Triple Crown races, including the Kentucky Derby, after winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But Essential Quality is going to be there's going to be a lot of money on this horse.
Well, this train is terrific. He's like Chad Brown and the rest of them. He's like Baffert on the Midwest, and he's done a terrific job with this horse. And he's kept him lightly raced. He has the Derby in mind. He's whatever he is, 7. Where is he? 11th, 12th?
He's 11th in the standings right now.
So he knows he's in. He didn't rush him to run in the Florida Derby. He ran him in Arkansas, and now he's giving him time. And this is the race he's giving him before he goes into the Derby. I don't think he's going to be fully cranked. Where I think the 3 has to get the points, and the 3 is going to be fully cranked.
Yeah.
Is this horse undefeated?
Yes.
I think it's undefeated.
4 for 4.
That's the only reason that he may want to, try to keep him undefeated. But as far as breeding is concerned, obviously, if they go retire undefeated, they're worth a lot more money. But that being said, he knows what he's doing. I don't think he's going to have him squeezed to the max. I expect him to put in a big effort, but I think the 3 is going to be the one that's squeezed here.
Okay. The 5 is Bauer, a 15-1 shot. That's only got a couple of 12s his last 2 races.
Yeah, he's too slow. The same thing goes for the 6 horse.
Yeah, forget about those two. And the 7, the only good thing about the 7 is sort of like what we talked about with the 1 or even the 2, is that at least he's gotten better each race, but only 1 race on dirt.
Right, that's his problem. He hasn't run on the dirt. He's a New York bred also, and that's interesting that they found Keelan to run this horse in. I don't think he has a chance, and I don't think the 8 has a chance either.
The 8 has shown absolutely nothing, and then the 9, an 8-1 shot, does have an 8.
The 9 is interesting.
Yeah.
The 9 is real interesting to me. He has an 8 as a 2-year-old at Keelan.
That was at the same race that Essential Quality beat him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Fine, that's true. So, I mean, he's 8-1. He's the value. If you're looking for value and you're trying to split the 3 and 4 up, this would be the horse to do it with.
John,
that 8 as a 2-year-old is very strong.
He's right on the cusp right now, the 9 horse, 20 points. So he's going to need a showing in this race.
He's going to have to show up.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so he's going to be squeezed also. So 2 horses in this race that need the points that are in position to get them are the 3 and 9.
That's not a bad exacta.
No, that's a good exacta, but then you're asking the 4 not to run it also. I don't know if that's happening.
Well, I mean,
either.
I'm going to
So
play
throw the 4 in an exacta box, a 3-horse exacta box.
Those are the live horses in the race. I mean, we're not telling anyone anything with giving them a 3-5 and a 3-1.
No.
But we're pointing out, we're trying to go inside the mind of some of these trainers as well.
Yeah.
It's more than just handicapping the horses. You got to handicap the connections and what they have in mind. And Mark came to the table tonight prepared, telling us who needs the points, and that's important. That's a key, and people don't pay attention to it. But believe me, they're thinking more down the road than just this race, even though it's an $800,000 race. And believe me, people want to win $800,000 races. But the big prize is a month away from now. So
yeah. So bottom line though is 3 and 9 exacta is a nice play. You hope that the 4 is just trying to save itself for the Derby,
right?
And then maybe you could also, we've said this before, if the 4 does win and you think, all right, I'm going to give up on the 4 and do a trifecta, do a 4-9-3 or something like that, or a 4-3-9.
$6 back if they run 1, 2, 3. I guarantee you that.
All right.
So
that's the Bluegrass. We're going to end it up with the Santa Anita Derby. This is going to go off at 7:15. So this will go off about half hour, 45 minutes after the Bluegrass. All right. Roman Centurion, the number. By the way, before I go on to this one, Mark, did you like any other horse that we did not talk about that you wanted to pick in the Bluegrass?
No, I think the 3 and the 9, like both of you guys say, are both live horses here. And if Essential Quality, if he's not looking to keep that horse's record perfect, I think those 2 horses are the threats to that horse, to Essential Quality.
All right, Santa Anita Derby, the 1, Roman Centurion's an 8-1 shot. He's got an 11, a 10, and a 14 in his last 3 races, so nothing special.
Well, he figures to make a forward move because the 10 and 11 that he has 2 and 3 starts back are both certainly good.
And they're long distances, which is nice.
Why the 14 though last time out? I mean, he was nice going into that race with the 11 10. It was the second time without Lasix. Maybe that was the reason that he ran the 14. I don't know, but I would expect him to actually make a forward move. I don't think he's going to continue backwards.
He barely cracks the sheets, John, as far as qualifying goes. He's just barely in 38th place with 9 points. It's all or do or die for this horse if he wants to move forward.
He's going to be squeezed, and you can probably expect somewhere in the vicinity of a 10 or an 11. With that being said,
all right, Dream Shake. It's a 7-2 shot. Poor Flavian Pratt. He hasn't been able to get on a good horse this entire Derby prep season, and I don't even think this horse is much. He ran a 7, which is excellent in his first race. But and then bounced to a 12. I mean, maybe that's going to happen. The only difference is the length. Went from a 6.5 furlong race, stretched it out to a mile and a 16th. But a forward move is not a surprise after the 12. The only problem is he's 4-1.
No, he's 7-2.
Yeah, he's barely 4-1.
And the problem is the 12 was without Lasix, which he's going to be doing on Saturday, running without Lasix. But he figured to run the 12 off the 7. He wasn't going to pair up. That's a big race, first out, and horses figured to react. Listen, 7-2 is no bargain. I mean, you want to try to find some value.
Well, if he ran, so he ran that second race in a stakes race. So that means that race, he was off Lasix for the first time.
Right.
Okay. So this will be the second race now that he'll be off. So maybe that 12 also is an indication of him being on Lasix for the first time.
The 7, he was on Lasix. You mean being off?
No, being off. The 12 was the first race he was off the Lasix.
The 12 was without Lasix.
Yeah.
The 12 was without Lasix.
So maybe that's a good thing that now it's his second race after not being on Lasix, correct?
Maybe he needs a Lasix, though.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he does. Yeah,
that's the problem.
We don't know.
That's why we're all something we don't know. We just don't know. That's why I'd rather be betting $10,000 claiming horses because I know what they're going to do, and they do what they're supposed to do. You're dealing with lightly raced horses. They go 20, 10. They improve dramatically in their second start. Yeah. You don't know what the intentions of the trainer, if they want you were trying first out or whatever it is.
Sure. Okay.
That's the problem.
Well, I got to think this trainer knows that this horse ran third to Life is Good to Medina Spirit, horse to beat here in this race, Medina Spirit. 2 for 2, and he needs these points. He's only got 10 points. He's tied for 27th. If the trainer feels the horse has got anything at all, he could be cranked up for this race. But where is Joel Rosario? He's been on a lot of these horses we talked about, and he's not on any of them.
Because he's in Kentucky, he's riding untreated for Pletcher in the 11 in Bluegrass.
Okay,
that's where Rosario.
He can only be in one state at one time, right?
Exactly.
All right,
but I think he's going to be riding a horse probably for Baffert, and that's probably not running this weekend. They must have something else planned for him because he's not going to Keelan to ride some 15-1 shot, even though it's for Pletcher.
Yeah, he's actually at the Bluegrass riding Untreated, the 10-1 horse that went from a 25 to a 12.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to the third horse, Rock Your World. This is one of the favorites at 4-1 that has a 10 and a 12. So
yeah, but he has a 10 and 12 on grass.
Yeah.
All right. They're running on dirt. How they can lay this horse at 4-1 is beyond me. I understand he's 2 for 2 and he never lost, but who guarantees you that he's going to run on the dirt?
Yeah.
Those races were on the grass. This was one of the first horses I'll throw out. If he beats me, good for him. But at 4-1, I want no part of this horse.
The 4 long shot doesn't look like anything. Right? Correct?
No, he doesn't have a single digit.
Yeah.
He's got no.
Yeah, somebody wasted $500,000 on this horse.
Well, they wasted it. The horse had a nice line. He's 14, 13, 13 minus as a 2-year-old. Everything was good. And I'm sure he'll be a nice horse down the road. And if not, they'll breed him.
Yeah, he's made 80,000 so far. They got a lot of catching up to do.
It doesn't take long when you're running for 750.
Oh, yeah.
and you're there.
They got the money to burn. Back Ring Luck, the 20-1, the 5 horse, may not be a bad long shot because, again, a horse that has been better every time he's raced in his last one. It was 13 last time out is not what you want. He is going to a new trainer. So if you're looking for a mystery long shot, maybe this is it.
Well, here's the bad news. They claimed this horse 2 starts back for $30,000.
Oh,
so wow. And then obviously they won the last race and they turned around and sold him. So I'm sure they sold him for more than the $30,000 they paid for him 2 starts back.
Quick.
And now he's in the
quick investment.
He's running. Huh?
A quick investment.
Yes, a quick move, and they made some money, but I don't think he has any chance because he ran. Take out his last race when he ran a 13.
He's done nothing.
Before that, he had nothing, 0. He may bounce off the 13. It's a 6-point new top from his last race. Obviously, he's going to be squeezed. It's his new trainer, and they must have paid some money for him, even though he was claimed for $30,000 2 starts back. It looks like a guy that's looking to get a horse for the Derby and doesn't have one, and Maybe they'll
lucky.
squeeze him. Yeah, he's trying to find lightning in a bottle, but I don't know if he's going to find it.
Otto the Legend. We get the Asmussen Gutierrez connection once again at Santa Anita. 12-1 shot, a 17 and a 15.
Well, what's he doing
Nothing.
here? Exactly.
I'd rather take the 20-1 shot. Medina Spirit. This is the favorite, 5-2. 15th, I believe, right, Mark, in the Derby standings?
Yeah, 34 points, likely in the Derby here. Obviously, a showing hits the board, solidifies that, but I don't think he's in any risk at all of not being in the Derby.
Well, it's Baffert, and he's probably not going to have him squeezed to the tilt. The knock I have on this horse is he ran a 12 first out, which was very good, and he won. Then he ran the 7, which was terrific. But off the 7, he bounced to the 12, which was fine. But then when he came back last time, he didn't come all the way back. He only came back to the 9. The right number last time should have been a 7. If he ran the 7, then he had a shot to pop and really be, maybe Baffert's smart, and he's certainly smarter than me. So maybe tomorrow the 7's coming. Yeah. I don't know. It could be, and you can read the sheet like that, and it's possible. But, he's going to be short. Listen, if I had to pick a horse in this race, this would probably be the most likely winner in the race to me. But, there's just something about it that doesn't hit me right. But I could be wrong. And again, he has a license to win off the screen.
Yeah, it's possible, too, that when you're looking at the way that the horse raced, he was 3 out, then down the stretch dropped to 6 out, and finished 8 out. So it was almost like it was either no effort to get any better.
Who won that race? Was that the Life is Good race?
That was, yes, correct.
Well, Life is Good, it was his entry mate. That horse was also trained by Baffert. Okay.
Interesting.
And Life is Good is now out. So I guess the horse, steps up, and it's going to be Baffert's one of his Derby horses.
All right. The 8 is Law Professor, 10-1. Went from a 23 to a 10. Now, you like the 10 in his second race, winning, breaking his maiden, but only 2 races and a big jump from 23 to 10.
Yeah, well, this horse is owned by Twin Creeks Racing Stables. Twin Creeks Racing Stables is owned by Steve Davison. Steve Davison bought Ragozin sheets 5 or 6 years ago, so I have rooting interest in this horse. The 23, I can tell you, first out was just a race over the track. He wasn't squeezed or anything. He certainly surprised last time out when they put blinkers on, but you're right, it's a lot too quick. That's the problem. Can he repeat? Of course he can repeat. I don't think he's likely to make a forward move. I'm rooting for the horse because I know the owner and he's a friend of mine, but he is coming off of Lasix, so that's another problem. And he's 10-1. You probably want a longer price. Let's put it that way.
The 9 is 8-1. The Great One, an O'Neill horse. Best race was a 10 at Santa Anita in January when he broke his maiden. After that, ran a 14 in the San Felipe when he just got nothing.
Okay, so the 10 that he ran was first-time Lasix. He got the number.
No, actually, the 10 was after. The first time Lasix was the race before that when he ran at 12.
No.
That was the grade 2 race.
The December. 10, according to the sheets, there's an F by the 10, which means it was first Lasix.
Okay, so
what do you mean? First Lasix was in 12 last year? No.
Well, the December 19th race was the 12.
Did he have Lasix there?
Well, it's a grade 2 race.
But it wasn't. It doesn't matter. There was no. There was no Lasix.
No, exactly. Yeah, correct. No Lasix.
Well, right. So the 10 that he ran 2 starts back was the first time he went on Lasix, and that's when he ran his best number. Then last time out, he ran the 14 without Lasix. So there you go again. A horse that has the big number with Lasix, the Lasix comes off. He had enough time from the 10 to the 14, but still he didn't run as good as when he had the Lasix. So that's the problem. That's the problem that we're all confronting.
The more I think about it, I one of these weeks we're definitely going to do a Lasix show. So we are going to break it all down. And I'm telling you, that might be popular on YouTube. I doubt anybody just spends 15, 20 minutes breaking down, the theory of Lasix or how it all works.
Yeah, but we have the proof. We could show you in the numbers the difference. That's why a lot of these cheating trainers, I always say, if sheets were admissible in court, half these guys would be in jail, because you could see a guy gets a horse and all of a sudden he goes from 15s to 8s. Well, it's more than hay and oats when they do that. So you're doing something. But I could show them numbers wise that this guy's cheating. Not in this case. I'm just pointing it out to you.
All right. Anyway, did you say that this was a good possibility or not?
No, I mean, I don't like the fact that he went backwards off the Lasix and he's off the Lasix again. But he does have a 12 as a 2-year-old without Lasix. So obviously he has a chance, and he's 8-1.
Yeah, because if you just look at the races on dirt, 21, 12, 10, and then the opposite way to the 14.
Right.
So
how's he points-wise, Mark?
He's not even in the factory. He's not even on the sheets anywhere.
Well, there you go.
The great one.
He's all in or nothing.
Well, I think he's in the running in this race. Not a great race. Defunded.
No,
the number 10 horse is an 8-1 shot. This is Baffert and Mike Smith. After a 25, went all the way up to an 8, talking about big jumps. But this horse has never stretched it out.
The problem with this horse is, like you said, he's never been around 2 turns. Here are the pluses. Pluses are he's never been on Lasix, so you don't have to worry about him coming off of Lasix.
Okay.
Where that's the case with a lot of these horses in this race. That being said, it looks like a big race without any time, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Baffert, and you are getting 8-1. He's yet to be 2 turns, and he's breaking from a very tough post. He's breaking from the extreme outside, going 1 1/8, not the place to be, and not unless you're going to make the lead. Mike Smith is going to be hung out to dry unless he makes the lead. He's not impossible, and if he's really around 8-1, you probably would want to use him, only because of the connections. Baffert knows how to win these races, and a lot of times when Baffert has 2 horses in a race, the longer one wins. It's just the thing that, that's the saying around the track. Bet the longer of the 2 Bafferts in a race. Yep. So that falls into the category here. But again, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't touch this horse off an 8, stretching out for the first time. But due to the respect you have to have for Baffert, and due to the 8-1 on the morning line, I would hesitate in throwing him out.
John, if Life is Good is in this race, is this 10 horse in the race as well, or he's just off? He's the horse off the bench.
Right. He's one of the horses he went to the bullpen for.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably, just to try to make some money away from, these are the horses I really like. This is my best bet. I'll probably just do like a cheap exacta box with 5, 9, and 10. I'll try to put some of these longer shot horses that I think, especially the 9 and the 10. That exacta.
Well, if you're using the 9 or the 10, you should consider using
like maybe the 2 and the.
You should consider using the 1, and I'll tell you why.
1. Okay.
The 1 is 8-1,
okay.
So it's the same prices as both the 9 and 10. He has the advantage of breaking from the inside, which is a big plus.
Okay.
And he's at least has route races, so he has experience. Yep. He has 10 and 11 to go back to. I understand they were on Lasix. But he's not going to make another backward move. He's moving forward.
Okay.
And he's going to be ignored. He's going to go off like 12. I guarantee you he's going to go off 10, 12-1. And I think breaking from the inside with so many question marks surrounding other horses. I mean, you got to be out of your mind to bet the 2 at 7-2 before you bet a horse like the 1 at 8-1 who has route experience. Route experience is key, especially for young, lightly raced horses. They have the advantage. They have the conditioning of being that far already.
Okay.
He's running 3 times. 3 times. The edge, just the physical conditioning of running that distance already. Yep, 3 times.
Yep.
Where 10 is going to try it for the first time. And even your 9 horse, I understand he has a 12 or whatever he ran, but the one has a 10 and an 11. I think if you're looking for a price, and I think the rail horse may be the way
maybe,
to go.
maybe that's even a more realistic exacta would be 1, 9, 10.
Right, something like that.
Again, to try to make to make a big payout, 1, 9, 10.
I mean, my idea to try to shake up the apple cart here would be fooling around with the one somehow.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll do a 1, 9, 10 exacta, and then hope that Medina Spirit saves everything. But look, Medina Spirit, the chances are that horse might even go to even money or worse.
Oh, yeah, he's going to definitely be even money. Here, so the reason that the race could be okay is because the clear second and third choices in the race are the 2 and 3. The 3 never ran on dirt. He's fun. Again, he could certainly win. We know nothing about him, but neither does anyone else. Why do you want to bet him at 4-1? You don't. And the 2 horse ran at 12 going long. Why would you want to bet him as the second choice in the race? You have horses that are 8, 10, 12 to 1 that are just as fast, and they've already been a distance.
Yep, absolutely.
So yes, the 2 and 3 could get in and all that. And if they do, you lose. Yeah. But guess what? You're not getting the best of it by using the 2 and 3. That's for sure.
All right. Mark, I think we nailed a lot of long shots. Was there another long shot that you liked, or who was your top long shot?
I'm all over the 1 horse in this race with John here as well. This is a horse that he was only beat by a neck by Medina Spirit 2 back. And again, he's sitting here in 38th place in the standings here. He's going to need everything he's got. A lot of value to this horse. I'm going to probably play him with the 2, the 2 of the shorter price, but I think I'm going to have the 1 and the 2 on my ticket here and look to beat Medina Spirit in this race.
Yeah, because that last race by Roman Centurion, you could just tell that something was going on there where maybe he was boxed in, maybe.
Yeah, he threw in a clunker. Yeah. He's got to rebound off of that poor effort. And he's going to be a price. Yeah. That's the way to go.
And the other thing we always talk about, this too, Mark, all football season, especially with college football, is you always draw a line through at least one game, at least one race, and then take a look at the form, take a look at the schedule, and you can see something completely different. If you just eliminate one bad game or one bad race.
I like to draw 2 lines, Greg. One through the worst and one through the best.
What was that, Mark?
I said I like to draw 2 lines, one through their worst race and one through their best race.
Right.
And everything else in between is who they are.
Day and you're never as bad as your worst day. There you go.
Exactly right. Exactly.
All righty. So that'll wrap it up. John, appreciate your time. Again, we'll do a LASIK special sometime in a few weeks. In the meantime, we'll be back again. Next week, there's another big race, I think.
I'm sure there is.
Next week's the Arkansas Derby.
All right.
We don't do that, though, do we?
Where is that?
I think that's Oaklawn.
Yeah, we could do it if you want.
Well, I mean, it all depends. It's up to you. Anyway, we'll be back next week.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Stay
John.
safe. Happy holidays to everybody.
Holiday? Did I miss something?
Happy Easter, everybody. May the horse be with us.
Okay. I didn't even know. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And may your horse be with you, Mark.
Let's hope the horse is with us. Thank you, Greg.
All right.